Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today we're going to be talking about novellas. So I don't read that many novellas, but every once in a while it's so nice to have a shorter book that is easy, a good addition to your Goodreads goal if you're behind, or if you don't have a lot of time but you want to read something without having to stop right in the middle. You don't have to get like caught in a really long book. I also really use them with reading slumps. If you're in a reading slump and you just need like a boost to get out of a reading slump, novellas are a really big go-to for me because it's so satisfying to finish a book. So when you're in a reading slump, if you read a novella and you finished it, it's a good way to get out of that reading slump. So I have a couple that I'm going to recommend to you today, and we'll just get right into it. So the first one that I'm going to recommend is actually a prequel to a series, or like the first book in a series, and it does not have an HEA, but it is fantastic, and that is Flow by Kennedy Ryan. This is the first book technically, or like the prequel book in the Grip series. This one shows Grip and Bristol meeting for the first time, and even though it does not have an HEA, this book, I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved their first interactions and seeing the way that they fell for each other before it got screwed up, because at the end of this, so Bristol is coming to see her brother, who she hasn't seen in a very, very long time, and he's busy, so his best friend Grip picks her up at the airport and they hang out for the day while she can go see her brother. And they had never met before, so they're meeting and they're hanging out and they have such amazing discussions, and I love the way that Bristol like shuts people down on her looks, because she's really beautiful and she's very sophisticated looking and she's white, and Grip is black and he's from a lower income neighborhood, and Grip and Bristol have these amazing discussions on race and racism that I found so incredibly impactful and interesting to read as their first meeting, like as these people who have no idea about each other's backgrounds but make these judgments is the wrong word, but make these impressions, have these ideas about what the other person is going to be like, and it's so interesting. And then this novella ends in a way that they don't end on the best of terms. So then when Grip starts, it starts multiple years later and they are not on like the best of terms. But they start to fall in love really in this book, and it is so, so good. Then the next one that I want to mention is Thin Ice by Cassie Mint. Cassie Mint is a new favorite novella author. I've only read 2 by her. This is my favorite, but I definitely want to read more because she has so many novellas and they are so good in a very small package. So I think this novella is only like 60 pages, but it was so good. It is a age gap coach player romance, forbidden romance, where the heroine is an ice skater and the hero is her coach, and they are incredibly attracted to each other, but it's obviously very forbidden. But this novella jumps right into the down and dirty. They are, there's no sort of like slow burn, but you do get that pining, which I love, because in a novella, especially one as short as this, you often don't get that pining for each other. But in this one, it was done so well, and it's just at a sped up timeline. But I absolutely loved this. It even has a not really a love triangle, but like a conflict with her skating partner, because she's a pairs figure skater, and her pairs skater has a crush on her. So there's like not just the forbidden aspect that's keeping them apart, but also her relationship and trusting relationship with her pair partner. It was so good. I wish there was an audiobook for it because the hero is Scottish and has an accent, and that would have been amazing. But it's so good. Would totally recommend it. Can't wait to read more from Cassie Mint. I really want to read her plus-sized heroes series. Then the next one that I'm going to talk about is See You in Boston by Eden Finley and Saxon James. This one is technically part of the Colchester University hockey series, but you do not have to read the others in order to read this one. This one takes place outside of college, and it has two of the characters that are in the Colchester University hockey series, but they don't really know each other. They're not really friends. They're just kind of like acquaintances. And they have graduated college and are now living in Boston. One of the heroes, this is an MM story, so one of the heroes is the son of a partner at this firm that they have internships at, so that both of the heroes have an internship at this big firm, and one of them is the son of one of the partners, and they end up, the one that is the son, I really should look up their names, but the one that's the son of the partner, he's guessing, questioning his sexuality. Him and the other main character had a encounter before they left college. They are acquaintances, but they did sort of hook up before they left college, like in the last leaving college party. And so now they are seeing each other again. They're working together, and they develop this really great friendship and romance, and I really enjoyed it. Dynamics between them at work is so interesting, and I really enjoyed it. Then I have 8 by Rosie Adams, A-T-E, and this one is about a woman who has gotten a promotion. She wants to have this big celebration with her friend, and so she orders this meal to come to her house and have like a private chef cook this meal for her. But her friend has to cancel at the last minute, and so she's stuck there having this meal made for just her, and the chef who is cooking the meal is very attractive, and she actually offers to have him eat with her, and then they have sex. It is a very short smut type novella, but I really enjoyed it and really want to read more from Rosie Adams because I've heard amazing things about her, and I've only read 2 novellas by her, and I really want to read more of her stuff. Then the next one that I have is Mating the Huntress by Talia Hibbert. This one is a paranormal romance novella, and it is about a werewolf and a huntress. So the heroine, who I think her name is Chastity, she and her family, who are all hunters, own this coffee shop, and she is working there, and one day this guy walks into the coffee shop, and Chastity knows that he is a wolf, shifter, werewolf, and she doesn't tell her family, and this guy keeps coming back, and she kind of like strikes up a conversation with him and is like flirting with him because she wants to prove to her family that she can actually be a huntress. They don't really think that she's up to the task, but she wants to prove herself to her family, and so she makes this plan to kind of like seduce the werewolf to ask her out so that she can then kill him. And he is there because he knows that Chastity is his mate. And it is so fun, and it's so funny too when she's trying to kill him, and he is like he doesn't want to hurt her. But I loved it, and I would totally recommend this one. I hope that Talia Hibbert writes more paranormal romance, because I absolutely love paranormal romance and I love Talia Hibbert, so that would be a great mix. Then the next one that I have is King Sized by Jessica Kane. This one is my favorite novella by Jessica Kane. She writes so many novellas, but this one is definitely my favorite, and it is sort of like a fantasy setting where the heroine is the princess, and she has learned that her parents have died, and she is crying in her room, and her guards are just standing outside, and they refuse to go in because it's against expectation of them. It's like against the rules they're like, we are the guards, we don't interact with the princess. And one of the guards is like, I can't deal with this anymore. He has multiple sisters. He knows how to deal with crying woman. And he's like, I can't stand here and listen to her sob. And so he goes into the room. He comforts the princess. And I think his name is Rex. And he is not most conventionally attractive, or he doesn't believe he is. He is plus sized, and he is just big overall, and he has a very big crush on the princess, but knows that that is not acceptable. And it is so cute the way that he comforts her. He is such a sweetheart hero, and she is so thankful for him because she is so alone in the world now, and she really like latches on to him, and he is her friend. He becomes her friend, or she thinks of him as her friend, and then more. But it is so good. I absolutely love it. One of my favorites ever. Then the last one I think that I'm going to mention is a new one that just recently came out, and that is Must Love Hockey by Serena Bowen. I originally read this book when Serena Bowen released it as a serial in her newsletter. So like once a week she would have a chapter in her newsletter. So that's how I read it. But it recently I think this video is going up on Thursday. So on Monday, this book released as a ebook and audiobook. I have yet to listen to the audiobook, but I'm really excited for it. But this one is about part of the Brooklyn Bruisers series, but you don't really have to read the Brooklyn Bruisers series in order to read this book. It is about the equipment manager for the Brooklyn Bruisers. His name is James, or Jimbo, they call him Jimbo, but his name is James, and he is the equipment manager for the Brooklyn Bruisers, and this girl, whose name I can't remember, but she comes to a game. She's a really big hockey fan, and she comes to a game with her shitty boyfriend. I'm gonna go with it. He's a shitty boyfriend. But they've been together for a really long time. Their parents kind of expect them to get married and everything. And she is not feeling great, and she ends up having a very severe allergic reaction on her own. Her boyfriend, who was like wanted to take his clients who he brought to the game out to a bar or something, and she's like, I can't do that because I have school. She ends up having a really severe allergic reaction, and James ends up helping her and taking her to the hospital, and really like taking care of her. And he takes her to the hospital, and she's like, you can leave, like you don't have to stay. And he waits in the waiting room for her like the entire time she's being checked out, and he is just such a sweetie. And they develop this friendship, but James really has like a crazy crush on her. Like he like wants to be with her, but she has a boyfriend. But they develop this friendship that James wants to be more, and that she eventually wants to be more too, and she eventually realizes that that her boyfriend is shitty, that she doesn't care about him the way that you're supposed to care about your boyfriend, and she has just been kind of with him because of they've been together for a really long time and it was expected of them. Her and James developed this really cute relationship and I actually really enjoyed it and would totally recommend it. If you have read The Brooklyn Bruisers also, there is so many cameos from all of the other teammates. It's very, very funny and I loved it. But that's it. Those are the ones that I was going to recommend in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe so you can see me in my next video and I hope you have a great day. Bye.